What is the state of housing going forward? One of the big questions as we head into 2019 to National Housing Conference CEO David Dworkin. Hi, David.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Doing well. Ty looks great. You can let them know. So as we go into 2019 here, I guess there's a couple ways that you could read this. One, that there has been some sort of a slowing, but two, year-over-year gains are at 5%, and I think most any homeowner would take that.
Absolutely. We have to look at this in perspective. And overall, the housing markets have done well, and markets go up and down, and they're going to slow. I think the important thing to remember is that homes aren't like equities, and people don't buy and sell them like stocks. So when housing prices go down a little bit, it has a mild effect on the wealth perception. But overall, I think it's we're in pretty good shape, and we want to really see housing prices level off because they've gone up so much recently, and a lot of people can't afford to buy a home, and we need them to be able to do that.
Level off might happen and is happening because of rate increases. I'm not sure you would be one to champion rate increases, but is that side effect in a way a net positive then?
No, I mean, rate increases are a small factor, and certainly we want to ensure, housers hate rate increases, but we hate recessions even more. So I want the Fed to have enough bullets in their gun if we get into a recession that they're able to give the economy some boost. But much more important, I think, is the fact that we're just not building enough affordable homes.
Right.
So even though we have the best job market for millennials ever, certainly in my lifetime, we've got 1 in 6 people aged 25 to 35 living at home with their parents, and I suspect they're not real happy about that, and the parents probably aren't either.
Seems like you got the tale of two coasts going on right now, because if you look at housing price increases on the West Coast, Seattle, Phoenix, San Francisco, all above 7%. Las Vegas is near 13% year over year. But when you come over here to the East Coast, Washington is just under 3%, New York at about 3%, Miami and Boston hovering at around 5%. What's going on that it seems like you kind of got two different stories on two different coasts right now?
Well, the law of supply and demand is never repealed. And so we've just not built enough housing on the West Coast. We need a lot more. On the East Coast, I think it's been more in line. But there are pockets where we got a problem. And in some industrial cities, we have too many homes still, and that has made housing appreciation more modest in the wake of the crisis and more severe during the bubble.
Speaking of the West Coast, what's going on in Seattle? Because the last 2 months have seen 1% plus decreases. We've seen Amazon announce that they're coming over here to the East Coast. Does that have anything to do with it? Or I mean, on its face, to see a percentage decline month and then the next month seems problematic.
Well, I think there is some timing there, but for Amazon, their big problem was that it's just hard to hire more workers in Seattle because prices are so high, and they're coming off of their peaks because nobody can actually afford the prices that are being charged. In the markets where Amazon is moving to, you are likely to see some effect because 25,000 jobs in New York and Washington are real increases. But in Seattle, we still have a major crisis of affordable housing, and the homeless population in Seattle has grown at record levels in the last few years, right. And that's because there just aren't enough places